So with update 12.5, we have asymmetrical battles coming back into the game. So decided to play it with the Schlieffen. This is going to be the big benefit here, where you're playing a higher tier ship that can take on multiple enemies, since we are outnumbered as a group here. The unfortunate side of asymmetrical battles, and why I'm not as big a fan of this game mode right now, is that it's basically just co-op plus. The enemy team is only bots, and while Wargaming have said they've improved the bot AI, it's still a little questionable. The DDs tend to YOLO in ahead of their teammates, lacking support. They're going to die very, very quickly. At least they're not full committing all of their ships at once. Co-op does have a lot of YOLO rushes by the bot team, and that's fine. Co-op's really meant as a very casual, chill game mode. I just think running asymmetrical battles as its own dedicated game mode that they really do want you to play should maybe be a little bit more difficult or interesting, I guess. And if these game modes do have to be a PvE mode, why aren't we investing more time and effort into some of the scenario play? We haven't really seen much change or additions to those in a very, very long time. And obviously, I have a bit of bias against some of these PvE modes, since I'm mainly playing this game for the PvP aspect. But for those of you that have spent more time in the PvE modes, let me know in the comments below. Would you rather be playing asymmetrical battles or a new scenario? I have a feeling most of you are going to say a new scenario. They're just a little bit more engaging. And I know asymmetrical battles are a pretty easy thing to add back in as a temporary game mode, and perhaps they're working on something more interesting for future updates when it comes to scenarios or something like that. Personally, I would have loved to see this game mode be a PvP mode again. I'm not sure how well it went last time. I actually don't remember playing it all that much when it was PvP. I'm pretty sure it actually was PvP. Now I'm starting to forget, but that would be interesting to see that work out again. Maybe some balance tweaks. If I remember right, it was a little bit unbalanced. And as the team that is short on a few ships, oftentimes it was difficult to pull off a win. Simply because you can't really control your teammates, and having fewer of those can be a little difficult. Even in this game, you're going to see some of our teammates that aren't going to survive till the end of this battle. There's a lot of bots here, and get yourself into a bad situation, it can quickly overwhelm you. For this one, of course, with the Schlieffen, we decided to take out the enemy team on this flank first, and then we're going to charge into the rest of the enemy team as they're pushing in. A pretty good strategy to take. Focus on one side first, and then go after the next one. You don't want to let yourself get surrounded. And that can work in a PvP mode as well, but it's a lot more difficult. Don't think that Destroyer would have died nearly as easily. The Vladivostok, I think, ate some of our torps and Mogador torps, if I'm remembering right. They're probably not going to push that aggressively, so it would definitely be harder against a team of actual players instead of these bots, even though they are the improved bots. I think that would have been more interesting to me personally. But I think really what this game mode should have been is a scenario that's flushed out a little bit more. And maybe there could be a few more incentives for people to play these scenarios more. Maybe the reason we're not seeing as many of those scenarios come out is that Wargaming on their end don't see many players engaging with them all that much. And that possibly could be down to them not actually giving that good of rewards. I still remember when they were not new, but there was the Operation Nare that gave you an insane amount of free XP, and then they nerfed that down a couple times, I believe, which feels a little weird if we are seeing these scenarios not actually have too much engagement on the player base. Nerfing the rewards might be contributing to that, and it's just kind of a feedback loop there where less player engagement means that we get less scenarios, and then all of a sudden they just disappear altogether, which is too bad because some of those were very enjoyable. And I think if we did have quite a bit of rewards coming out of them, we could see players engaging with them a lot more, especially now that free XP is essentially unable to buy you any sort of premium ships. I suppose you can use it to grind up the research bureau still, but they certainly nerfed that level of reward from free XP compared to what it used to be. Consider that Missouri used to be 750,000 free XP. Very easy to get that these days, relative to how it was back then. And so because of that, I can understand maybe the reasoning behind nerfing the free XP gains in some of those operations if people are getting some of these higher tier premiums a little too easily. But they've been all removed from free XP at this point. They've been moved to the armory for coal. That was last patch, I believe. The Aegir, Hayate, Groningen, and one other one. I forget what it is, but no more free XP ships means maybe we can see more of those in-game rewards given out for some of these scenarios again. The Kansas actually sits us there. I was a little surprised. So improved bots, there we go. They are able to hit some citadels. Feels a little spooky, but at least we do manage to survive that. Didn't really take much damage throughout this game. It's a little odd too, looking at the potential damage. Maybe I was a little too far back in this one, but we have 360 secondary hits. It seems like we should have more than 400,000 potential damage. Schlieffen is pretty much perfect for this game mode, of course. It's fast, stealthy. The secondaries are going to do an insane amount of damage to multiple targets at once, allowing you to focus on different ships of priorities. Someone in front of you, you don't necessarily have to use the secondaries on. Just let the auto secondaries go and then put your more accurate secondaries on someone out at range. That is a good idea if you're in random battles, not just in co-op, of course. If you are playing a secondary battleship, the closer you are to a ship, obviously, the more hits you're going to get on target. But the targeting system aims for the citadel, which is often just going to be shatters. Of course, we have a lot of citadel belt armor in the game, and sometimes that accuracy is bad at these closer ranges, especially if you have a target within your secondary range that's going to take good damage from the high arcing secondaries at longer ranges. It's a good idea. Here you can see some of the secondaries are going to do some damage, but a lot of them are actually going to hit belt armor and deal very little to no damage. A little bit from fires here and there, but that's about it. Somehow we actually don't hit really any shells from our main guns either. One of the benefits, of course, to secondary ships is when your main guns decide not to work, we can always rely on the secondaries, I guess. And torpedoes, of course. Schlieffen having that is very nice. So we're actually going to end this game with 6 kills and over 260,000 damage, which is pretty good, honestly. But it's still co-op, so it doesn't give me that same feeling of enjoyment or satisfaction that a PvP game would be. And maybe if it was an operation where the goals were a little bit different, this just feels very much like a co-op game to me. And not as interested in those ones. As you can see, we did manage to lose 2 of our ships, as we did get a victory here. And real quick, we are, of course, running the full secondary build here on the Schlieffen. That's probably expected, I think, given the game mode type. But again, let me know what you guys think down below. I'll let you see this for just a little bit longer. It's the same build, though. Let me know what you think about this game mode and how you would like to see, if you'd like to see more operations. I call them scenarios, my bad. It's just really too bad to see these kind of game modes not really be invested in anymore with new development by the team. And I really would like to see more of those, more incentive to play these, I think would be really, really cool. There's a few things like that. You guys remember campaigns? When was the last time we got those? I don't want to be too hard on Wargaming about not adding more content to the game because their cadence is pretty extreme these days, especially with all the new lines. We seem to have early access every 2 patches these days. So they are adding things to the game. Just maybe I would like to see their focus shift a little bit, especially when we see things like the asymmetrical battles with a little more dev time might have been a whole nother operation. That's kind of my opinion on it. Or maybe do some balance tweaking to make it so PvP is an interesting time as well. Either way, I would have probably enjoyed it a little more. Personally, though, it just feels like co-op plus to me. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.